Well, Logs, you got away from the week in, week out grind of Jaguar football. The players were able to get away as well. What do you think a bye week can do? Obviously they're not exactly steaming toward a playoff berth here, but what can a bye week do to reset a 2-9 football team?
Well, I think no matter whether you're losing or whether you're winning, you're just trying to have the emotional break. And I know a lot of people would kind of scoff at that and say, "Oh, well, they're losing; they should get back to work." And I get it. I mean, I understand that emotion, but it's a grind. It's a mental grind. It's a very stressful job. And look, you're getting paid to win, and when you're not winning, then it just makes it even harder because I mean, it's hard enough physically on the players to handle that. And it's hard on families too, because the families, you got kids in school and all the kids are making fun of the kid whose dad is a coach or dad is a player and hey, oh, your team sucks and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, it's not just hard on the players and the coaches, it's hard on their families too. And and I'm not trying to give them a sympathy story because they get paid very well, but I mean that's just the reality of it in our world. So sometimes it's nice to get away and take an emotional break and then come back a little bit refreshed, like Doug Peterson talked about, and get back to work. Now it's now you got to get refreshed and refocused and get back to work and start winning some football games if you can, because look, you still got 6 games to go. And if all of a sudden you kind of pick up where you left off, it's going to make it real tough.
All right, Dylan, if you're ready to roll in there, let's throw a little of Doug Peterson's presser out there, Logs. Get your reaction to this from yesterday. Obviously, guys are getting back into the routine, and I think the big question mark this week is going to be the potential availability of number 16, Trevor Lawrence, who did practice yesterday. So here was Doug Peterson giving an update on Trevor and when he'll ultimately decide on his game status.
Trevor's going to practice today, and then we'll see where it's at from there.
How much is it just based on how much he's able to go throughout the week?
Yeah, it'll just be a toleration thing with him, yeah.
All right, so Logs, what is your guess? And that's all we're doing is guessing here with Trevor Lawrence. Do you think we're going to see him suit up this week and kind of how careful are you going to be as a coaching staff, as an organization, even if he's willing to be out there with that shoulder injury that he's dealing with?
Well, look, if the player gets medically cleared by the doctor, okay, and medically cleared by the doctor is basically assuming that, okay, you can't hurt it any worse. I mean, does it need fixing at the end of the season? Maybe. But as long as he can't do any more damage and he can play, then I think he's got to play. And I think he's going to play this week. I don't know anything more than what you guys do, but I just know from knowing and seeing what Trevor has done in the past, and he's played through some things, I expect him to play this week.
All right, so other than, just trying to win football games, which is what they're paid to do, how much more benefit is there? What can you glean from an additional 6 games? A lot of people are saying this is a lost season. They want to see Trevor shut it down. They don't want to see him having a long rehab in the offseason if he gets hurt any further than he is. But even if you don't make the postseason, if you're eliminated this upcoming week, what are some of the benefits that they can gain? Is there a carryover effect to like some of the chemistry you might develop or continue to develop with a guy like Brian Thomas?
Well, I think first and foremost, you're proving to your teammates that you're going to be there. Whether times are good or times are bad, and times are tough or times are celebratory. I mean and I think that's important for a quarterback to be there for his teammates. And then you can also build chemistry. I mean, regardless of whether you're building it with the same coaching staff going into the next year, whether there's going to be change. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? But the reality is that there's going to be a lot of players on this football team that are going to be on this football team next year. And so with Trevor playing with those guys, I think that shows something. And that's what you want to do. You want to be there for your teammates, man. Every time you have a huddle breakdown and practice, and a lot of times in games, you hear the players say fam. Well, fam stands for family. And if a guy is out there and he's battling, then as a family member, you need to be out there too, if you can be. And I think that shows a lot.
What is your expectation for this team in the final 6 games? Jeff, I mean, it does get a little bit easier from a schedule perspective, but they've been bad enough that it's hard to say they'll definitely beat whoever, right? Even in the final 6 games with Vegas being on the schedule. But we'll see if Trevor Lawrence is going to be available. But What are just your general expectations for the team here in the final 6?
If Trevor's playing, I expect them to be competitive and to maybe win 3 out of the remaining 6 games, or something of that nature. Just because of what the schedule is. I would be surprised if they're not competitive in all of these games. The one thing that kind of has got me a little bit concerned is that, look, watch the film yesterday and today of Tennessee versus Houston, and Tennessee is tough. Their defense is for real. And so a lot of people were kind of looking at that as like, that's probably going to be a good win, or could be a win for the Jaguars in the remaining 6 games. Well, wait a minute. They got 2 defensive tackles right now, and the defense is just, to have lack of a better term, they're kicking ass right now. So the Jaguars are going to have their hands full with 2 games left with Tennessee Titans. Indianapolis, you've got to deal with them, and they're a good football team when they've got some good quarterback play, and maybe they're going to get that. The Raiders are a complete mess, but look, I think you should be competitive in these 6 games, and I would be surprised if you're not. The one thing, though, that you better find a way to get fixed, you better find a way to fix your defense, because your defense has been terrible.
Hey, Mia here, and thanks so much for watching 1010XL Jaguars. For even more coverage of the Big Cats, be sure to subscribe to 1010XL Jaguars.